Hello again! This time we are going to be making a small house. You can live in it, but you can certainly print one yourself. What I've done is I've included, there is a template for this in the same area as you find this video, so you can get all of the stuff that you're going to need to make this. So what you'll see is that you'll end up printing this twice on your sheet, and I've taken this door out because, as you can see here, is a different colour. So you can use your red and your black ink together in this one. You can do anything with this template. The shape is fixed. You know, you can see where you've got a this part becomes the roof, and your windows. You can do anything with the windows. You can change the way that you lay the roof out. On this version, I have done more of a Swiss chalet roof with the shingles, and then on this one I've done sort of classic kind of tiles. But you can do whatever you want. So you know, provided you stick within the parameters of this, it's going to fit on your the template that I provided. So just go crazy. You can do the windows however you want. You can have them as negative space where I've done them as positive. You can do a red house. You can do red bricks. So there's loads of things you can do. You can make any number of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you start with this. So let's crack on. This tutorial comes with a template, and you need the full template in order to make your house. But just for the print element, you need this this section, because what you'll do is you'll make one block and you'll print it twice, and that, you know, effectively is the front and back of your house. So what I'm doing here is I've already chopped around the segment that you need. You can just match that when you're doing it yourself. And now I'm transposing that onto the lino, and I'm just doing it straight onto the lino with a scalpel, just using a ruler just to keep it nice and straight. It's just the easiest way of doing it. Just make sure you get some nice straight edges, and when you've done that, you can pull that away, and you get this nice clean shape. And the other thing on the template are the windows and the doors. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your house, but I put these on there so that you've got some kind of basis to go off when it comes to placing elements. And you can see, actually, if you look to the right hand side of the screen, there's a version of it that I've already done which has got a slightly different illustrated style, let's just say. So that one's got bricks, I think, and this one we're going to do is more of a log cabin. So what I'm doing is I am marking where the corners of the windows are, where the door ends, like the top corners, and also then the bottom. And here I'm just marking where those lines intersect the edge. And what I'll be able to do now is just draw those. I'm not going to fully cut down with the scalpel, but what I will do is just score it so you can see, you basically get your mark, you know where you're going to go up to when it comes to the folds of the paper. Just doing the door here, just nice straight lines. Doesn't matter so much if you don't place these in 100% the right spot, because the lino cutting afterwards kind of levels it out anyway. It's more so you just got something to go off, like when you are doing your lino cutting. Just sorting the windows out here. It's very satisfying to cut with a ruler onto lino. So watching it back is quite entertaining. Excuse my disgusting fingers. Alright, so now I'm taking a marker, and you can see on the left I've kind of already drawn up what I want to do with the drawing of the house on my iPad. So I've marked up what I'm going to gesture at. So I'm just going around the key the key details, which will allow me to basically carve out. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a tool which is basically that size to carve these details that I'm drawing out now. It just makes it a lot easier. So the aim of the game when it comes to the carving is just to take out all of that black, and it will leave the marks that I need to. So I'm going to make the most of both the red and the black with this as well, because in the magazine you'll have seen that there are some examples of where you can do multicoloured lino prints, and some of that can be achieved by splitting up the canvas. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up the black, which is going to be the house, and then I will chop out the door, which I'll ink up red, and you just slot that back in when you're ready to print, and it means that you get to use both of the tones without it being too messy. So just drawing across there. Like I said, I'm going for a log cabin with this one. And then I'm just doing a shingled roof, which can be quite loose, and I intentionally sort of mess this up, just misalign some of the shingles so it looks a bit more characterful. There we go, and this marker that I've used is the perfect size for just going across with the tool. Depending on what pen you use, you'll find the right tool for carving out roughly that size. So the objective here is to basically remove, as I mentioned earlier, all of that, the black mark that I've done, and then that will then be your printed, you know, the marks that you make in the print. It's very satisfying to watch. It's like sort of cutting cheese. You don't have to do what I've just done with the scalpel. I think I was just doing it because I want to carry on. I want to basically do all the linear stuff and then move on to the verticals. But you could have basically just gone up and done the door then, and that would have meant that you didn't have to use your scalpel. Like I'm doing there. And you can pull the verticals out after that, the horizontals out. So if you wanted to, you could go really in on this. And I mean, I'm doing a very simple version of a log cabin. But what you could do is you could take a really fine lino cutting tool and carve in some of the wood if you wanted to, just to make it really realistic, or you know, as realistic as you're going to get with lino. These are great for Christmas as well. I mean, you can do all sorts. You could print onto something which you could have a candle in, and it would look lovely. You could chop out the windows. Almost done with the horizontals, and then we get to go in on the shingles, which is a different motion, as you can imagine, for cutting those out, because you've got to have an angle, you have a curve on them, which is a slightly different experience, but it's equally satisfying. For this, all I'm doing is I mess that up then. Is you're just going to do L's, so you just go around the corner each time, and you can just do them. If you do them in the rows that they're in, it just means that you don't really have to go back on yourself. Just keep adding it in the same way that I drew it with a pen. And we're about done with our lino. The last few shingles now. Got a different direction on these. And there he is. Right, so now to the inking. Same premise as we've done with all of the inking so far. And again, you can see at the top left, I've got a different version of this house that I've done, just to and I've chopped the door out, you can see that there. So we're going to go in with the black first. Just roll this out nice and even, and as we've kind of covered in the previous tutorials, you don't want it to go down too wet, because I mean, you want a good covering, but you don't want it to be like super sticky, because it just doesn't result in the best print. Just picking up the detail really well. Just a nice even covering of this. I've chopped the door out, as you can see, and I've popped a red one in. Sometimes it can be a bit finicky. You don't want to get too much muck everywhere on your fingers, so you can see I'm having it with difficulty, but I'm just going to prod it in with a scalpel. Push it in to make sure it's in there. I think it does end up falling out. So the work that I did in that previous shot is basically undone. But here you can see where I've drawn out the template, and what you can do is you can just trace over that, and it will give you a nice, it gives you the net basically to put your house down. So applying a lot of pressure. Some people have said, since in terms of watching the previous tutorials, a good way of applying that pressure is to clean the roller off and use that to apply your pressure evenly. So you just roll over the back of the print. So here you can see it's a pretty neat print. There's some areas which probably could have done with a bit more pressure. And from memory, I think this side's not as good as that first one. So I definitely could have done with some more. Should have used a roller. So pop the door back in. Just squidge it in, just push that down to get some pressure on that. I think what you just saw is me being disappointed when I built that up and it wasn't quite as I wanted it. So this one has got, I remember, yeah, it has got some more unevenness with the tone, but I think it kind of adds to the charm. The idea with this colorway was to, and the subject matter of the house was to give you that sort of Scandi vibe. It's like Icelandic kind of houses. So I'm just scoring gently the lines which will allow you to fold it, basically, having cut this out completely. So this will now neatly fold in on itself. And what you'll need is some glue to make sure that the folds of the net stick together. Trusty old Pritt stick. Let's give it a nice covering. And then we're going to stick them together. It's just a case of marrying up the edges and making sure that they're going nicely. Just lining them up. And then this back one, this is always the tricky one, because you've got to try and get it on without applying too much pressure, because you obviously can't get your hand in at this point. So there it is. It's your house. I hope you enjoyed that. So the same as ever, just let us know what your feedback is. If you subscribe to the Artful channel, you'll start to get videos from old boxes, so it's well worth doing. And just let us know what you think in the video below. I'll see you in a month's time.